Broadcasting from the mobile studio, welcome to Black Mirror Podcast, and as always, I'm your host, Ho Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. Today we are revisiting Season 3, Episode 6, entitled Hated in the Nation. But before we go into that, I have got an update that I think is absolutely amazing, and I know I'm probably behind the times on this, considering this is May. But Season 6 is due to release next month in June of 2023, so I am super excited. Now, I'm still going to complete the Revisited, okay? I have a couple episodes in Season 4, 1, 2, 3. A few episodes in Season 4 that I'm wanting to cover. Of course, we have the interactive film Bandersnatch I'm going to be revisiting. And then it looks like one episode in Season 5. And then we'll be getting into Season 6. And there are 5 episodes in that one. I'll tell you what, I'm excited about that. I really am. I do have the titles right here in front of me. We have Episode 1, Joan is Awful. 2, Loch Henry. 3, Beyond the Sea. 4, Mazer Day. And then 5, Demon 79. Ooh, that one just sounds, yeah, doesn't it? Demon 79. But anyway, you know, I got high hopes for Season 6. I really do, you know, because, you know, from what I heard of the onset whenever they did decide to go ahead and do a 6th season, is that they really upped the production value, from my understanding, quite a bit. So, you know, whether it be cast, whether it be whatever, I have no idea. I don't know what this is going to translate to. I really don't. But either way, I'm excited to see what happens. Is that on? It is on. Okay. Okay, good. So I'm excited. I really am. The 5 episodes, which I think is actually, well, no, that's kind of what I was expecting. Well, I was kind of expecting 6. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. Now, it really was a toss-up between which one I was going to do. You know, Men Against Fire and Hated in the Nation. But to be perfectly honest with you, I settled on Hated in the Nation because of just the state of things right now, okay? Because with the lockdowns and with us being forced into, you know, the only type of interaction that we get was basically through digital, through social media and whatnot. It seemed right to me to talk about this episode versus Men Against Fire. I mean, it really did. Now, before we get into, before we go any farther, you know, definitely spoiler alert. If you have not watched this episode, I highly recommend it. I really do. It's a great episode. And this one really, well, okay, let's put it this way. Okay. Now, I'm not that old, because I don't like to think that I am. You know, it's actually amazing, because the older you get, the older old becomes. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, when I was a kid, you know, 20 was old. 30 was ancient. Now I'm 40 and it's like, this ain't so bad. You know, I mean, granted, my body talks to me. I can't do the same things that I used to did. Pain is different. Sometimes it's constant. You know, you really discover that, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that whenever I was younger. You know, you feel the stupidity of your youth as you get older. You really do. But my point is, you know, in my day, you know, before the digital era, you know, you talk back to somebody, there were consequences, real world consequences to you running your mouth, to you saying something that you shouldn't say. You know, I mean, yeah, I joked that it would be fun to lip off to, you know, Mike Tyson, but in reality, oh, he'd punch me, it would hurt, but at least I can say I lipped off to Mike Tyson. But in the digital age, you can do those kind of things without having those real world consequences. And that's one of the things that they explore in this episode. You know, we called them back in the day, you know, like, you know, telephone tough guys, you know, people that would talk so tough on the telephone, but then face to face, they're like a different person, aren't they? You know, I'm a truck driver. We have radio Rambos. Again, you know, they're talking big and bad on the radio, but yet you see them in a truck stop, and sometimes you can recognize who they are, you know, by their voice, but it's different because now they know there's real world consequences to them running their mouth. And whenever you're in, you know, social media, whenever you're talking, you know, I mean, there's that degree of separation, isn't there? You know, because there's, you know, you're speaking not to a person, but you're speaking to a name on the screen, an avatar, and you yourself are a name on the screen. You're an avatar. We don't think about the person behind the name, the person behind the avatar, the person whom is reading this and what it could be doing to them. You know, I mean, we talk to somebody in person, we can see how the conversation firsthand is affecting them. But whenever we are talking on social media, we don't get that. You know, we keep running our mouth, not thinking about the consequences, not thinking about how this could be affecting somebody else. And because of that, you know, we've grown disconnected with human interaction. We've grown calloused in some ways. And that's one of the things they kind of explore on this episode. So let's get into this. So what happened was, you know, through whatever, okay, the bee population had dropped down, animal population as well, you know, because they talked about animals that has gone extinct. But, you know, the bee population is something that we really, really need. I mean, if we run out of bees, if all the bees die, then we are truly in a very, very bad place, you know, because then the pollination that happens and everything else that the bees do, well, it's no longer going to be done. Plant life is going to die. And since our existence is attached to their existence, well, we jeopardize our own existence too. Boy, howdy, do we ever. So we need bees. And is what they do through technology, nanotechnology, I am assuming, is they build these little robotic bees in order to combat the loss of the bee population. So that this way they can do the pollination that the bees are no longer there to do, to save humanity, to save plant life, the whole, you know, 9 yards. Now, I don't know if bees actually gone extinct or not. I don't know. But they build these robotic bees in order to fill in the gap. Now, of course, in government fashion, you know, the government sees this as an opportunity because, you know, these robotic bees, you know, I mean, yes, this is something that is necessary, something that people would pay top dollar for. However, considering how dire the situation was, they didn't want to wait for that. And so whether it was the company that was designing these bees and producing these bees went to the government for assistance, or whether the government went to them to seize an opportunity, we don't know. It doesn't talk about that in this episode, but what it does talk about is that the government, through this relationship with this corporation that was producing these bees and developing this technology, they seen an opportunity. And it was an opportunity for surveillance. These bees, you know, having cameras on them and whatnot, they can track every individual. Facial recognition software. They can link the bees' cameras to the database that the government has on everybody and linking profiles and phones and everything else. They can keep track of in real time everybody everywhere in typical government fashion, because of course we need to do this. What if something happens? We need to do this. Now, I don't generally mix politics with this show. I don't generally do that. But, you know, a famous person once said that if you sacrifice freedom for security, you will lose both and deserve neither. And this is a warning for just that. A possible consequence for allowing anybody to have too much power. So there's my, sorry, I hit the microphone. I got my finger caught on the cable anyway, but that's as far as I'm going to go into the political aspect of it. Okay. We'll leave that for, the ho-ho show, of course. Now is where this starts to get interesting is, well, just like any computer, just like any type of, cloud-based whatever, something that is not hardline wired, that is not air-gapped between the systems, something that you don't have to physically be present in order to access the system, it's vulnerable to attack. And that's just what happened. Somebody hacked into and gained control of all these bees, thousands of them, enough to cover the entire continent of where this took place, which was Great Britain. That doesn't matter. It's not really relevant to the story, but that's where this took place, Great Britain. Now, the guy who did this for what he believed was a good reason. He did this because I believe it was like a friend of his whom was getting attacked on social media. She, it put her in such a mental state that she committed suicide. Just the random attacks from people who didn't know her, people that were, taking advantage of the situation of not having any consequences to their actions. And he was upset about this. He truly was upset. Now, you can justify his actions or not, it doesn't really matter. And I'm not condoning this type of thing, don't get me wrong. But, as a society, we need to keep in mind that these people that we're talking to, that we are, that we are pointing these attacks at, there's somebody behind the avatar. It has an effect. We need to be aware of this. We need to stop hating each other. We need to stop doing nothing more than tolerating each other. In my day, my mother taught me, if you don't have something nice to say, then keep your freaking mouth shut. Don't say anything at all. Why do you feel like you got to give your 2 cents to somebody? Don't. Be mindful of your actions. Be mindful of your words. Just be mindful. Be better. So he was taking his anger out on social media. The people whom he felt were responsible for his friends or wives or whomever it was, their death. And so something ended up happening. It was a hashtag kill a person. I don't know exactly what the command was. I don't remember what the hashtag was. I don't recall. Hashtags is something that I really don't use in social media. It's kind of, I don't know how to use them. I know that it can do some wonderful, amazing things. I know it can, help you search things and that there's relevance to it. And, it's fun, but I myself, I don't go there. I don't do that. It goes beyond me. I just don't. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I just don't. I'm still kind of ignorant with some things whenever it comes to how to use social media. I think that's pretty apparent whenever you check out my, the social media places where I'm at, but it's neither here nor there. So a hashtag kill somebody ended up happening. And they, the people that were using this hashtag were people that were, they had grievances towards somebody. They had grievances towards an individual. They had, that they didn't like what they were doing. And what you see happen very early off in, the episode was somebody died. And it looked like on the surface it was a suicide. But you come to find out what happened was one of these little robotic bees had crawled into the ear canal of this individual, went right into their brain through the pain receptors and just threw them into a tizzy, making them feel more pain than they have ever felt in their entire life. And in order to escape the pain, this individual ended up breaking a bottle and cutting her own throat. Somebody else had passed away because of this hashtag kill somebody. And during an MRI where the thing, because it is metal, it burst out of the person's head, that's whenever they realized what was going on. And they had tied it to this hashtag on social media. Because these people that were dying were people whom the hashtag said kill them, and that's who the bees were going after. And so they tried everything they can do to put a stop to it. And so that's whenever you come to find out just how much control that the government was using, the surveillance aspect of it, they shut it down. But there was something else that was going on behind the scenes. Because they figured out that back door went both ways. That yes, the government can use the facial recognition and track people, but the program that they were hacking into, they could also hack into the government records and find out who somebody was. Attach a face to the communication device that they had, the telephone, using the IMEI number. And what was going on was every single person who was using this hashtag kill somebody, the program was saving that person's information. And when the government decided to shut this whole entire thing down, the bees went after everybody who used the hashtag kill somebody, even though by the time this was going on, the word was out. People knew that by using this hashtag kill somebody, somebody was going to die. By then, they already knew this. They already knew that there was a real world consequence to what was going on. And still, they didn't care. Still, they were using this hashtag kill somebody as if they were insulated from what was going on. Because to them, yeah, there may be a person on the other side of that, but, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I don't get, and I understand that some people do. I don't get emotionally attached to people I don't know. I hear that, an actor passed away for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't affect me emotionally. I didn't know this individual. Yes, it may be tragic. Yes, it may raise awareness in some way, shape, or form to help combat against whatever happened, whether it be through, one means or another, it doesn't really matter. But, my point is, it doesn't affect me. This person wasn't part of my life. I watched them through a television. I seen what was going on in their lives through, social media, through what have you. I don't know these people directly. It doesn't affect me. In the end, it doesn't change my life. I mean, yeah, this person may be dead. That doesn't mean I can no longer watch movies. That just means that he's no longer going to be present in them. It doesn't change my life. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't matter to me. Not in an emotional or even a spiritual level. And I think that had a lot to do with why people were so eager to use this hashtag kill somebody, because they didn't know him. And in their mind, this person had done something terrible that they felt this person needed to die. So that this way they can no longer do it. And one of the people that they used the hashtag kill somebody, and after they already knew the consequences that could happen, was the prime minister of their government. This person must die. And that's whenever the prime minister demanded that this be shut down, that these bees be deactivated. And, it was, but by then they were like, oh, this could be bad. This could be bad. If we, because then they noticed the file that had names and IMEI numbers that was attached to a face and an address and everything else of everybody that used the hashtag. And they were like, oh, holy crap. There's a possibility that if we shut these things down, that will activate the bees to do this, this command, and it could send the bees after everybody that has used the hashtag kill somebody, but they didn't care. This government official was like, doesn't matter to me. I have to save the prime minister. We're shutting these things down. And they did. And at first they thought, hey, no problems, no issues, everything worked fine. And then they quickly realized, oh boy. These bees went after everybody that has used the hashtag kill somebody. It doesn't give an indication as to a number as far as how many people died, but it was a lot. Let's just put it that way. It was a lot. Person who did this finally was, brought to justice. We don't know how. It doesn't really say that. All it really tells us is that, yeah, he was found. But there you go. That's the conclusion of the hated in a nation. And why I felt this episode was so impactful and meaningful, because, with the COVIDs, with living in the digital age where we live so much of our lives on social media, we have that degree of separation that easily provides us the insulation from the consequences of our own actions or our own words that we say. We don't identify these names and pictures as people. We just don't. Which allows us to just be ugly to people, Before social media, before smartphones, before all of that, there were real world consequences to our actions. Nowadays, we don't really see that. Nowadays, We don't have that. Nowadays, it's almost like people would prefer to text or message or tweet somebody than to actually communicate even on the phone through a call using your voice, let alone talking face to face. It's like we are withdrawing ourselves from life, aren't we? How many of us experience going, you maybe at family dinner, maybe going out to a restaurant? How much time do you spend on your phone surfing social media? How, do you take a picture of your food and look where I'm at and tag somebody in it, for wish you were here or whatever? Why? Why do you wish they were there? Because, even though we are more connected than we have ever been, we are more alone than what we've ever been too. Even though it's brought us or given us a level of connection with people we've never had, we spend way too much time on our phone. Not living our life, but living on social media. Has that damaged us in a way? Now, don't get me wrong, people. I'm not, allowing people a way out from the responsibility of their actions. Like I'm blaming social media and I'm not blaming a person or an individual. Don't get me wrong. Bad behavior is bad behavior. You can blame whomever you want to. It doesn't matter. You're still responsible for what you do. I'm not blaming. But isn't life about balance? Isn't it about balance? Shouldn't we find some type of harmony between living a life here versus living a life out there? Shouldn't we find that balance? Shouldn't we not sacrifice one for the other? Shouldn't we be more concerned with not only our emotional and mental health, but other people's as well? We weep and mourn for people that we don't even know. We weep and mourn for those whom, something happens to, but we have a chance to have those interactions with people. Let's take them more often. Let's be better. Let's not mourn the woulda, coulda, shouldas and be better. Isn't that what we should do? I think we should. I love Black Mirror. I really do. It's an awesome series, an awesome show. Explores so many aspects of human life and interactions and, how we interact with technology, how we interact with ourselves, and how we interact with ourselves through technology. Black Mirror is awesome. I can't wait to get into series 6. So yes, it is going to be a little while before we get into season 6. But that'll allow everybody to, watch it, and have fun with it. Get your own opinions, your own ideas about what's going on before I actually talk about them here. So guys, awesome episode. Highly recommend watching it. The next one I do is going to be, I think it's USS Callister. Yes, USS Callister, season 4, episode 1. I'm looking forward to that one. All right, y'all have yourself a great one. I'll see you in the next one.